Hi everyone, this is Kimmy Vinsky here with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Professional Realty, and I'm here with John Washburn, Cross Country Mortgage, and I am a military relocation professional, and I met John during a course, which military boot camp that you specialize in as well, and I thought we would just have a bit of a conversation in today's market with a VA loan. What is the benefit to a buyer using a VA loan and also for a listing agent accepting a VA loan? So
Sure.
John, maybe just go through some of those points.
Absolutely. So I think there's three reasons why a VA loan should be seen as more preferable and beneficial for listing agents when they are looking at trying to compare options in this very crowded market.
Right.
Number one, generally, VA buyers are the most qualified buyers that exist in the market. They have higher credit scores even than conventional buyers. They often have more money in the bank. They make higher income. So VA buyers are very well qualified. Number two, because they're so qualified, this actually gives them some flexibility in the case where we might have an appraisal shortage, right? We've got a lot of offers that are coming in above listing price, and a lot of people are worried that we may be short on an appraisal. Well, with a VA loan, oftentimes because the buyer doesn't have to bring a down payment, that means he has extra money that he can use to help cover an appraisal shortage. And then number three, even in the rare cases that appraisals do come short, the VA has two different processes, one with Tidewater and another with Reconsideration of Value, that will enable us to save a lot of deals by actually getting more value in the appraisal than we would have gotten otherwise.
Right. And I've experienced that too. A couple of times with Tidewater, I've been able to bring it up to value or very, very close to value. But maybe you can just elaborate a little bit more on the reconsideration of the loan and how that happens and maybe what Tidewater is.
Sure. So yeah, the VA loan, the VA process has two processes by which we can actually help cover an appraisal gap. The first is what we call Tidewater. Before a VA appraiser is even allowed to assign a value to the house, if he's going to put a value lower than the contract price, he has to let everybody know. And he issues what's called a Tidewater Alert, which lets the listing agent know, the buyer's agent know, the lender know that, hey, he's going to give us a value here in a couple days, but before he does, he's giving us the opportunity to provide him with some more comps, maybe some very recent comps that have sold, and again, in this crazy environment, that will help him justify a higher value than what he wants to assign it.
So great to have that heads up before all of a sudden appraisal comes in, this is it.
Absolutely.
Live with it, right?
Right. So even if you can't get the value higher, now everybody knows a few days before the appraisal even comes back, hey, we might have to renegotiate this. The second cool process that the VA has is called the Reconsideration of Value, which basically says this: even if the appraised value comes in short, the veteran can say, hey, I know that this house is not quite worth as much as I'm going to pay for it, but I'm still willing to pay more. And he can request a reconsideration of value from the VA, which for all practical purposes gives the VA permission to just wave a magic wand over that appraisal and add up to 15% in additional value for the veteran. The VA does not want its veterans losing out on homes just because in this market houses are maybe going for a little bit more than what some appraisers think they are worth. So if a veteran says, hey, I know this appraisal only came in at $200,000, I'm still willing to pay $210,000 for it, the VA can literally wave a magic wand right over it and say, okay, the value on the appraisal is now $210,000, feel free to buy it for that value.
Right, because the VA appraisers are specifically for VA and trained for VA, so
Yes.
It's not a general appraisal, and their biggest concern is for the member, correct?
Absolutely.
So they're
Absolutely.
actually working for the member on their best interest,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
so that's awesome. And a couple of the other things you mentioned about if it was lower, and because the VA requires no down payment, but there's quite a large amount of veterans that do have a down payment.
Yeah, no, over 30% of veterans put a down payment on the home anyway, even though they don't have to, right? And this goes back to, again, what I said earlier, veterans are generally higher approved buyers even than conventional borrowers. On average, they make more money, they have a higher income. On average, they have more money in the bank. So just because they're able to put nothing down on the home doesn't mean they all do, right? They're very smart financially oftentimes.
Right.
They'll put money down, maybe they'll lower that funding fee, maybe they just want a lower monthly payment. So if you have a veteran that he may have already been putting $20,000, $30,000 down on a house, if the appraisal does come short, $10,000, you and I have both personally worked with veterans that said, okay, well, we'll just take some of that, put it down to cover the appraisal shortage, that gap in the appraised value, and let's keep working on to have a deal.
Right. So it's very
loans,
easy to just move it from one column to the other because it's already there, and
absolutely,
it's just a small adjustment to
right.
waive that amount. So
absolutely.
Right. So there was a couple other points that you'd mentioned with regards to the veteran purchasing right now and why a listing agent should consider
sure.
a VA. I think the timing, right?
Yeah.
How quick their appraisals are coming back.
Definitely. So one thing I'm really noticing is that appraisals on certain loan types, if we have to order them through an appraisal management company, an AMC, we are sometimes having a very difficult time getting appraisers to pick up the appraisal.
I've seen it.
Sometimes,
waiting.
we may order an appraisal on a regular loan on a Friday, and 2 weeks later, it still hasn't been assigned to an appraisal. There's not really a lot that the lender can do about that sometimes. It's different with the VA. All appraisals are ordered through the VA portal and are specifically ordered through VA appraisers. And there are actually time limits that the VA literally does not allow appraisals to sit in the waiting period for more than a certain amount of time. And once it's assigned to an appraiser, we only have, in the state of Ohio, we only have 5 days before that appraisal has to be back, right? So if we're running up against that waiting period, I can actually email a VA appraiser and say, hey, looks like the waiting period is almost up. Am I going to have that appraisal back? And they're always going to say, yep, I know the waiting period is up. Try that with a conventional or FHA appraiser sometime, and you'll get laughed at.
Right. So, this is a huge point on why a listing agent should consider a VA is because if they want a quick close in a competitive market, they've got better assurance that appraisal is going to be picked up.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Well, this is great. Great information. I don't know if you can think of any more points, but I would love to represent any veteran out there, whether active service member or a veteran. I am a military relocation specialist, and I work very closely with John that does specialize in VA loans. So I hope this information helps you, and I look forward to possibly working with you in the future.
Sounds good.